Good afternoon, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. And for today's show, we brought in one of the leading software quality assurance experts, not only nationwide, but throughout the world, in Ruslan Desyatnikov. And Ruslan is the CEO and founder of QA Mentor. Now, QA Mentor is a leading independent software testing company. They do work with everyone from startup companies to Fortune 500 companies, and we are very excited to have Ruslan on the show today to talk about software quality assurance. Ruslan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Andy. Pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it inviting me today.
Wonderful. So let's pull the lens back, Ruslan, a little bit, and let's just kind of look at QA Mentor from 30,000 feet and tell us what QA Mentor is all about.
Absolutely. So QA Mentor is all about quality assurance and testing concept. When we decided to build this company 10 years back, the idea was to really provide strategic support to various of different clients around the world and improve their quality assurance and testing practices. Basically, make their product successful, make sure that whatever they're delivering out there, whether it's a web-based application or mobile application, it will hit the market with very good impression. That was the idea behind this. And 10 years after, we continue to do and continue to meet clients' expectations and continue enjoying what we do and making products better and more mature and successful.
So this makes a lot of sense for anybody in the digital world, Ruslan, that's launching something that's brand new, or even people that already have something out there. What they do is they contact QA Mentor, and your team and your technology will provide quality assurance for what their offering is to the World Wide Web or to their clients. Is that the way it works?
That's correct. That's absolutely. They call us and we wanted to understand exactly what they're looking for and conduct and perform various of different testing on their product. And the testing can be starting from functional testing, making sure the functionality working the way it is intended to work, all the way to performance testing, security, scalability testing, as well as localization testing. We have capabilities of testing on different languages across the world. We have very unique service, which allows us to test practically from 182 countries in the world. We have over 14,000 professional testers, part of the community. They're not our employees, but they're part of our platform, which allows us to cover every language in the world.
So that's amazing. So let's just take a look at a startup founder, for example, who is bootstrapping their company. They want to bring something to market. Maybe they actually have some early stage sort of angel investments, and those people don't want to bring something to the market that crashes and burns and doesn't provide speed to the potential customer, or something that's not scalable. How do you help those people sort of understand the landscape in terms of quality assurance for software?
That's exactly what we do for the startups. There's many entrepreneurs who are trying to put the product on the market, and they're developing as we speak. And it's crucial to make sure that the product is ready for the market. If the product will not be fully ready, it will ruin their reputation and have negative impact and negative feedback everywhere across the board. Whether it's a mobile application, you don't want to see negative feedback right in the in the store, right? So for that reason, we coming up with the strategy on how to assure that their product are fully tested and defect-free and available for the market from all the angles, including the usability testing, because usability testing is a very, very important aspect when it comes to any products. You want to make sure that the product will enjoy using your platform, using your application. That's extremely, extremely important. If it's not really up to the mark, if it's confusing, then the customers will just go to their competitors and start using their platforms. So that's extremely, extremely important to assure all the angles are covered and the product is ready and available to start generating some revenue for the companies initially.
Ruslan, that's exactly right. When we as consumers go into the iOS Apple store, or we go into the store, the Android store, and we see new applications, sometimes these new applications, they get bad reviews to begin with because they're not operating correctly. They're chunky. They're not working at the speed of light. They haven't really taken their application through the type of testing that you at QA Mentor can provide. So is that something why you as the CEO and founder of QA Mentor really came up with the whole idea to make sure that these younger companies, as well as, of course, the Fortune 500 companies that you work with, don't make early mistakes that can cost them in the long run?
Absolutely. That's very, very important for the clients to make sure that they're not rushing out there with just a product which is not cooked properly or ready, right? You got to make sure that when you hit the market, that the first impression is there from the client perspective. And that first impressions will count for many, many years to come. So it's our responsibility to explain our customers to make sure that the product is ready and it's not, you compromising on quality to increase the speed and velocity of the products. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to release the product out there to start generating money, to attract new customers and clients. But if you're not there, if you're not ready, if your application, if your platform is fully cooked, it will taste bad, right? It's not going to be delicious when it comes to a food analogy. So that's what we want to make sure that it's there. It's have enough. It's been in an oven for the time being, and it's have enough salt so the dish will be ready for the market.
So Ruslan, you make a great point, because a lot of people now, when they introduce an application or they introduce something into the world, they use the minimal viable product. In other words, they don't want to spend a fortune in their product because there's a chance that product or that app or that website may have to be changed as they learn more about their customer. And I know that at QA Mentor, you offer different sort of tranches of what you offer to these companies, whether it's a comprehensive program or a less comprehensive program. But is that one of the thinkings, that you can allow your customers to sort of pick from a menu, if you will, to give them what they actually need, so they don't have to really buy more than what's necessary at the time that they're launching their product?
Yes, we want to make sure that, we appreciate all the budgets which are available, and we know how difficult it is for the startup, in terms of the financial situation to hit the market. So we want to make sure that the product which they're launching first, it's fully ready, but it's not 100%, ready from the extreme testing perspective. So obviously, it's very good to cover this from all the angles. But if you have enough money and the budget to assure that it's ready, then you can spend on that budget. But what we came up with the bare minimum standards and practices, which will allow still any company with very limited budgets to be able to launch the product successfully without any major problems and issues. So for instance, let's talk about the web-based application. There are many browsers and operating systems out there, right? You can test on all 500 combinations. You can utilize and leverage 500 mobile devices, but is it really necessary, right? So there is a risk-based approach, which we also always recommend. There is impact analysis and making sure that, the client will not spend unnecessary, the budget for things which not super important or will not really generate return on investment. So we provide suggestions, we provide recommendations, we provide statistics based on what the application, which region this application will be utilized and leveraged based on the critical and most commonly utilized versions of the browsers and mobile devices. And we structure and prioritize that way that the customers will not spend so much money, and they will be in a position to release the software. And then when they start generating money, then we can expand and test more and add on additional services which we have. And back to your interesting analogy to the menu, yes, when we build this whole company, we wanted to offer a menu of services. Right now we have 32 quality assurance testing services, which covers all angles of software and quality assurance testing domain. It's like a restaurant. You're coming in, you see the menu, and it's you're overwhelmed with so many items on the menu, and you get confused sometimes. And we helping them to select the right, dishes, if you wish, so you will never be hungry.
See, that makes a lot of sense, Ruslan. So let's stay with the startup founder just for a minute. He comes to QA Mentor. He talks to you or a member of your team, and he wants you to do a quality assurance test for his offering. Do you oftentimes hear from these founders where they say something like, Ruslan, I want to make sure it works today, but what I'm really interested in is you helping me to understand whether this can be expanded upon. This can be leveraged into something bigger, and it can handle all of the additional traffic that we're expecting down the road. Do you give some analysis with regard to what the future might look like and whether it's robust enough to handle a viral type of component to the new business?
Absolutely. This is where our performance testing and capacity testing services comes into the picture. We're trying to understand what the future will look like, because you strategically you need to think 2, 3, 5 years down the road, right? And you want to make sure that if your application will hit the market and really take some traction, you will have lots of customers and clients. And the question will be, can my application sustain that load, right? So with the performance testing, where we can analyze the future potential traffic, we can simulate also what the future will look like by increasing number of users and simultaneously recreate those scenarios. We can assure that the application can work under extreme loads. And what, for instance, many of the CEOs acquiring some other companies, and they wanted to transition some of their customers from the existing platforms into the new platforms, and they wanted to make sure that their new platforms will sustain the load. And that's exactly what we do.
See, that's amazing, and that's very good forward thinking for founders of startups to contact Ruslan over at QA and sort of go through that process. And let's move it forward a little bit, because there's probably some companies that are past the startup stage. Somebody, let's say in a Series A or Series B round of financing, that has something out there, and maybe they didn't build it as well as they should have from the beginning. Maybe they're along the road, but they're finding out that it's a little chunky. How does QA Mentor help those companies that perhaps didn't build it as well as they should have at the beginning, and maybe didn't contact QA Mentor at the very beginning of their process?
It's never too late to contact us at any given stages. Obviously, when you build a product and it's not designed properly, we can help to assure that there is a proper design of workflow structure, and also from the usability perspective, customers will be happy and satisfied, where we can recommend some of the improvements to existing application. But what we're trying to do for these types of customers and clients, so they will not make the same mistakes in the future, we explain them that there is a very interesting service which we're offering, which is static testing services. What static testing services is all about requirements, verification, and validation. So at the requirements phase, we know whether the requirements will meet customers' expectations or not, because we can test fully requirements by analyzing and making sure there is no gaps, that everything is captured the right way. So when the developer will start building the application, they have everything in place, and they will not use their common sense or previous experience. They actually will utilize exactly what is stated in the requirements. It's like you're building a house, right? If you're not, discuss various of different things and what the house should look like, what material to utilize inside, what colors of the walls, what tiles you will have, right? Anybody can build the house based on what they think. So it's a big problem down the road. So we try to educate all of those organizations with the earlier shift left strategies to start testing from the requirements perspective first. If we will align the requirements the right way to begin with, then it will be a very good cascading effect to improve quality and deliver satisfactions to the customers and clients when it comes to ready to release product. And that's what we offering and we suggesting. So it's never too late. Even if you end up in this situation, we still can help and we still can improve, and we can still make sure that the product will be successful.
See, that's wonderful. And we all know that if you plant a tree when it's a baby tree and you plant it in the ground and you plant it straight, then it's going to grow up to be a straight tree. But if you plant it sideways, it's going to fall over eventually. But what I'm hearing from you, Ruslan, is that even if the tree was planted a little sideways at the beginning, with an expertise of QA Mentor, you can come in and actually straighten the tree if it's been planted incorrectly early on in the early stage.
That's correct. That's not too late, and we would be able to do that. And it will cost obviously extra money, but the important lesson for this organization will be to involve quality assurance testing, independent testing companies from the earliest stages of software development lifecycle. That's critical aspects, because everybody think the testing comes at the late stage. No, testing comes at the early stage, and the sooner the better it will be, and more cheaper will be overall.
So if you're a founder of a startup, or you're thinking about putting something out into the World Wide Web, whether it's an application or something else, it makes sense to reach out early, because that prudent decision will help you save a lot of money in the long run, is what Ruslan's saying right now, right?
That's correct. Rework costs a lot of money, and avoidance of this rework is extremely, extremely important, because the budget burns very quickly and fast when you need to rework, when you're figuring out that you need to build this a completely opposite way, or the requirements which you were planning to do not fully vetted, and now you need to redo things. It's cost, and it's very, very expensive. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Prevent issues, prevent defects from happening, and do it at the earliest stages.
See, that makes a lot of sense. Ruslan, now everyone's talking about security. That's very, very high on everybody's mind with regard to what's going on with software and quality assurance programs and independent testing of one's security protocols. Tell me what QA Mentor does with regard to that type of situation with companies. Are you also experts at looking at how secure their software is, and you offer suggestions on that, or do you have another team or a different company that you partner with regard to security?
Sure. When it comes to security testing, we have our own internal security testing practice, which conducts various of different securities, from security audits to functional security, network security, penetration testing, ethical hacking, simulation. So we controlling the security aspects, because every application needs to be secure. It needs to be compliant. I mean, there's lots of impact and reputation at stake when the application is not secure enough. And we know, and we heard so many issues and problems, and breaches in security and compliance aspects across the board. So we have that service. We can help startups. We can have mature Fortune 500 companies. We have various of different programs, starting from a very limited, $1,000 security testing package for anybody with the limited budgets to make sure that your security for the applications will not be compromised when you launch the software. That's extremely important.
So that's extremely important. And I would imagine anybody launching an application, the minimal that you must do is to make sure that you have a secure application and you have packages for all budgets for those types of people that want to launch and have as secure of a protocol as they could possibly have. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
That's awesome. So, Ruslan, we're talking about QA Mentor and how you can help both, startups all the way to Fortune 500 companies. But a lot of people watching this are going to say to themselves, wow, this Ruslan, he knows a lot about quality assurance in the software business. So, and you've built a wonderful company. So for the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, we want to get in a little bit about how you were able to build this company. What were your beliefs inside that you said to yourself, Ruslan, I can build this great company? What was the thing that really got you going into being an entrepreneur and building this wonderful company that you've built?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about my entrepreneurship for a while when I started my career. I started my career 23 years ago. I started as a junior tester. I didn't know actually about the existence of this position, but luckily enough, I was fortunate enough to end up in a testing role because I had a hard time finding job after I graduated. And 3 months down the road, this startup company offered me this job, like almost 100%, 50% less than the market was paying at that time. And I still went for it. I still, I had nothing to lose. I didn't have any options on the table. And from that moment, I really fall in love in quality assurance and testing. And I was, always thinking about entrepreneurship, but, 13 years after I started my journey in QA profession, I decided to open my own organization. I felt comfortable. I felt that I'm ready for something bigger. I gained the experience throughout this 13 years. I play various of different roles in various of different organizations, wearing multiple different hats. And I felt that I can start adding more value and start providing help and support and strategy to various of different other QA departments who wants to establish a really good footprint around quality assurance and testing. So I basically quit my high-paying job. At that time, I was working as a head of testing in one of the financial, big bank. And I walk away. It was a big surprise for everybody, including my family. Although my family supported me all along, but walking away where you really, thinking you have lots of challenges in front of you. There's zero customers, and you're trying out. It's scary. It's scary, right? I mean, you don't know whether you succeed or fail or not. So I started that way. I wanted to start it. I wanted to try. I wanted to try with my own money. I didn't want to take any loans. I didn't want to invite any investors because I'm very sensitive. I don't want to waste anybody's money. If I fail, I fail myself. It's going to be my money, and that's it. So it's definitely a tough decision. It's a hard decision. You have to be very careful about the future, because the money will not start coming in the first year. As a matter of fact, the money started to come in after 3 years. That's where we break even and start generating some revenue, and I was able to start writing myself a check. So it's not that simple along the journey, obviously, but I appreciate everybody who supported me, especially my family. At some point of time, I said, maybe I should go back, but the other side of me was stating, no, you got to move forward. It's tough, it's difficult, but you have to keep going. You got to follow your dreams. And, I was extremely happy that I started, and More or less succeeded.
Well, that's wonderful, Ruslan. You know, it's very interesting because you're working with founders or startups with their quality assurance over at QA Mentor. And if I'm a founder and I'm looking at different companies to help me with my quality assurance, what better company to go to than QA Mentor? Because Ruslan understands what it means to be a founder. Ruslan understands what it means to really be a startup entrepreneur. And I would imagine when you're talking to these startup entrepreneurs that a lot of what you learned as a startup entrepreneur with the blood, sweat, and tears that it took to put into it comes across. And it's that type of caring attitude that you have for them that has helped QA Mentor become one of the leaders in the field.
Yes, we went through this, and I always, and we always, as the organization, sharing everything, not just about QA, but about our experience. So certainly working with the startups, with the entrepreneurs, I can share my experience and can share my advices and my mistakes, which I had many and plenty, which I learned from. But that's apart from the quality assurance and testing strategies and methodologies and best practices, which we can train and guide and teach. We teaching them the business knowledge as well and share the business knowledge, you know, all from search engine optimization to the marketing and advertising to the product, maturity and the functionalities which needs to be there implemented. We want to see clients and customers succeed in what they do. We want to make sure that it's not only about testing and finding defects. It's about making their product successful, putting their products out there where the clients will start using them and they said, yes, it's definitely adding a value. I'm really benefiting out of this functionality or this product. That's what we're trying to achieve all together. So it's a teamwork. It's not just testing, it's overall strategy to be successful in business and be successful to launch the products the right way.
You see, I love that because when they hire QA Mentor, they not only get the quality assurance expertise and all the testing and the software testing, but they also get some real life advice from people that have done it themselves. And for entrepreneurs, that's very important to surround themselves with experts and people that have an expertise that perhaps they don't have. So that's awesome, Ruslan, to hear that. Let's talk a little bit about AI, because everybody's talking about AI and, you know, it's on the tip of everybody's tongues now, Ruslan. Has AI entered the software quality assurance testing protocol? Are you using any AI at QA Mentor? And if not, do you see that coming aboard soon? How does all that work with your business?
Sure. AI, it's a latest, technology and a buzzword which everybody is talking nowadays. Definitely, we're testing number of applications in the artificial intelligence space, many platforms looking for our services. So from the testing perspective, we're supporting number of platforms. Now, also we're looking into different testing tools which can leverage the AI elements inside, which will help the testing community to test effectively and efficiently. So there is the automation part typically where automation tools can help you to speed up execution by automating various of different scenarios and the test cases. But there is also intelligence through the AI elements, which will allow you to be much more intelligent. So for instance, there are a number of companies nowadays which are building and integrating the AI components into their platforms to help automation tools to get much more smarter and more mature. Same goes for the test design and test preparation. There are a number of tools which includes AI elements which helping to come up with the test case coverage based on the functionality, based on the functional requirements. So imagine you have a functional requirements and you can convert these functional requirements automatically and build a comprehensive test case coverage around those requirements. So instead of you manually trying to think of what the requirements, what the test case should look like, it automatically creates the comprehensive package for you. So this is something to dream about. It's not there yet, obviously, on the market. There's some companies who are trying to achieve that. There's some success there, but it's still not 100% mature. So AI definitely will add value in that regards. Now, also at the same time, I'm hearing from the testing community a little skepticism that the AI can replace our jobs, testing jobs, right? So I'm getting this question very often across the board. What I can assure is that AI will help to mature the testing and speed up the testing and mature comprehensiveness of the test case coverage, as well as intelligence of how to assure that the product will be covered from all the angles. But it definitely will not replace testing jobs, because testing jobs is all about feeling the product, smelling the product, touching the product. No robotics automation can replace that gut feel, what we have inside when it comes to providing assessment on the product and really providing overall impression whether it's really ready or usable for the users or not. There is no machines, no robots, no artificial intelligence can do this better than the human, in my opinion.
That makes a lot of sense. And for the software engineers watching the show, and for the founders of startups that have software engineers that are starting to build out their product, what kind of sage advice can you give them when they're going to their computers every day and writing their code and starting to write their system? What type of advice can you give those people that are just starting out to build something out so that they don't make any giant mistakes early on?
The critical aspect is understanding what the benefits of what you're building. It's extremely important. Understanding the needs of your customers. What are you trying to solve? That's extremely important. You're not just building for the sake of building, but you're really building for bringing much greater value to customers and clients in the long run. So extremely important, the requirements gathering phase. If you're not going to get requirements gathering phase the right way, that will set you for failure, no matter what. So that's extremely important. Brainstorming the requirements, assuring that the requirements are gathered the proper way, documenting all the acceptance criteria, all the possibilities, involving users in your discussions to make sure they fully understand what the implementation will look like. Maybe screenshotting and showcasing the mock-ups, how the screens will look like, how the flows will look like, prototyping the product to make sure that the customers will say, yes, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I need. Not after the fact when you deliver the solution and then the testing, usability or user acceptance testing will start and the clients will say, well, but this is not really what I was looking for. This is completely different from what I requested. And then whose fault will be? Well, you didn't tell me before. Well, you should have asked. That's what the typical dilemma is out there. I mean, whose fault is that? So in order to avoid all these issues and problems, you have to get the requirements phase straight and right. And that's, again, where the testing quality assurance professionals can help, because they can be involved during that process and assure that the requirements will be gathered and are testable and they're complete and there's no ambiguity inside them. And that's the very, very, very important step in this.
That makes a lot of sense. It's almost like you're starting with the ending first, because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to be able to build a roadmap to get to where you want to be. So that's a perfect example of what Ruslan is talking about right there. Ruslan, lastly, there are some other software quality assurance companies out there, but QA Mentor does have some distinct advantages over many of them. So why don't you share with our viewers some of the things that make QA Mentor perhaps a little bit different or a little bit better than some of the competition out there right now?
Yes, as you rightly stated, there's many companies out there, many quality assurance testing organizations, independent testing services. There are many companies starting quality assurance business right now as we speak, right? So there's a lot of competition out there. But the most important thing and how we differentiate ourselves and position, number one is we are very cost effective. We want to help anybody who needs help. The size of the organization does not matter to us. The size of the project does not matter to us. We want to make sure that you guys out there will be successful. For that reason, we set our prices very aggressively. We allow to give those types of prices because we operate from the low-cost areas, from the offshore facilities. Our major facilities are in Ukraine and in India. And for that reason, we can be affordable for everybody across the world, not just, U.S. companies, absolutely anybody. As a matter of fact, we have supporting projects from 38 countries around the world. So the major differential is the attractive and aggressive prices which we can offer. The second thing is that we actually offering more testing services than any other company in the world. We offer 32 quality assurance testing services covering all angles and over 56 testing types which we can conduct on any of the applications. The other differentiators are that we're working around the clock, 24/7. We are the only company who works and operating across the board and covering all the time zones. We have 5 shifts operations, including the weekend shifts, because many of our customers releasing software during the weekend and they need help and support during the weekend. So we are like your, emergency doctor services. You call us and we will pick up and we're ready to start because we're working around the clock. And finally, the major differences in how we differ is that we're not about just defects identification or finding problems. We're all about improving the process along the way, maturing the processes across the board within software development lifecycle, not just the testing cycle. We're trying to guide, educate, train, share knowledge, and that's the name stands for QA Mentor. We're all about that. We're not just a body shopping where you just deploy testers and say, okay, go and work with them, do whatever you want, and that's it. No, every single person, an employee in our organization are the change agent. They're process consultants. They're wearing multiple hats to make sure that they can bring that value, not just find that defects or create that test case or execute something, but make products successful. That's the key for us. That
is outstanding. And Ruslan Desyatnikov, I have been trying to get you on the show here for quite some time. And I'm very, very happy that you've been able to slide us into your busy schedule to talk about QA Mentor. I can see now why people talk about QA Mentor and its leader the way they do. This is really a high-level, holistic approach to software quality assurance for companies that are both startups and all the way to Fortune 500 companies. And it's very easy to see right now, just talking to you after 35, 40 minutes, the type of leadership that you provide to the company and the type of insight that you provide to your clients. And I wanted to thank you for coming on the show today, for really telling us about not only what QA Mentor does, but the right way to approach your software quality assurance. It's very eye-opening, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn a lot from this conversation. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. The great conversation, incredible questions. I really enjoyed. And thank you so much, Andy, for inviting me once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruslan.
Good luck. All the best. Take care.
Thank you.